So welcome back. We are out cleaning out hornet traps, and I have a special guest with me today at this beautiful location in Brittany, and it's Olly Nolan, who's come over to spend a couple of days with me before we go off on our road trip to the UK. So what we're doing today is look at this, we've just emptied out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 traps, and that's what we've got out of 7 traps. Quite staggering this time how many hornets we're getting, even though I emptied these traps. This is like 4 days. So Olly, first impressions.
Quite crazy. Like,
tell me what you think about this.
Yeah, well, we said, like, this morning we went down, you know, like, to your place down the bottom, we said, behind your house, and the hum of the hornets was just mind-boggling. Like, I never seen nothing like it before, and the traps all stuffed with hornets, and here as well. It's quite intense seeing what the poor bees have to put up with, isn't it? Yeah.
But we've seen the better nukes. I've taken Olly to my best apiaries. That I don't want to show him all my stuff, but he's seen all the frames waiting to be whittled down and all the shit we have lying around the apiary. But I said to Olly this morning, now, be prepared, this is going to be like... Yeah, for him, he actually couldn't have come at a better time, because he wanted to see how bad these hornets were for himself. And obviously he's from a place in Ireland where, well, in Ireland generally doesn't have any Asian hornets at the moment, fingers crossed. And I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but there's always that chance. And this is what we're dealing with as French beekeepers. But it is the worst time of year. We're at the point where we've had a summer, and it's the worst summer we've ever had. And it's a summer we were dreading that might actually turn up one time, we think, out of maybe 10 years. So all these traps, I've got more traps than that in the apiary. There's like, I think 11 traps in this apiary. There's another few more to clear out in there. But what's happening now, to give you some idea, is the hornets are finishing their life cycle. All the Vespa family do this, whether it's wasps or hornets. So it's Vespa orientalis, Vespa velutina nigrithorax, which is the Asian hornet, which we have in Europe now, and also Vespa mandriana, which we don't have, which is the giant Japanese hornet. I just wanted to get some terminology there because people got muddled up, but these are the common Asian hornet, Vespa velutina nigrithorax, okay, and they're also typified by their yellow legs. Now, when there is a couple of common hornets in here, there's one, and they're completely different. They are a lot slower. We don't really want to trap them, because there's a common hornet and there's an Asian hornet next to it. So you can see the difference in the two. So the Asian hornet's much darker. It's got yellow legs. See that yellow leg? That's the dead giveaway. But the common hornet doesn't have yellow legs. You see it's got reddish legs. So I wanted Olly to see this, and I said, as I said just now, you will be at the best time to see all this, because it's very difficult to explain. And tell me, Olly, when you said... you can't appreciate this till you actually see the magnitude of it, can you?
No, you can't. You know, like, basically watching all your previous videos, like, you know, it says, wow, it's, you know, like, it's bad, but you don't see how crazy it is till you're actually hearing the hum of the hornets. It's just, and you see so many.
But remarkably, we've just been to the nuke yard where I've had a lot of nukes in one area, and we always say, oh, don't put too many bees in one area, it's not very good, blah, blah, blah. That has been a success this year because
there wasn't many hornets.
Because there wasn't as many hornets, because we've centralised the area. We've been trapping a lot in that area. Whereas where we are now, for example, we're in a location in Plonquet, which is a really nice manoir. And I've got another apiary the other side of this area of land, which is about 800 metres from here. But I thought about 4 weeks ago there wouldn't be many hornets because I trapped this side really heavily, so the other side will be lighter. Because what seems to happen, an area where this has got a pond, it's got loads of insects. As we said, Asian hornets are ecosystem depressors. But the problem is we have as beekeepers is other members of the public don't see what happens. And it's up to us to highlight the problems, that it's not just our bees that are getting predated, but we see our bees getting predated because the bees come out, because the hornets come over and see it as a free meal. But at the same time, in that same area, they're also eating every other insect that is protein, because they want to produce those queens that we think they're producing now this time of year as the nests start to finish. So you know, it's depressing. And Olly, you know,
depressing. Yeah.
I don't know what my colonies are going to be like in the spring, if they're going to make it for the spring, and the time will tell when we get to, probably, it usually is around December, January, when the queen can't make enough bees or keep a few ticking over, And even though some of the colonies might be weak, sometimes there's just a little bit of tick over a brood to keep the colony going if you've given them everything else. And if, for instance, you fed protein, which I did, because that might just give that colony the edge so that the bees that are being produced can then just keep ticking over till they have the chance to get away in the spring. Because in the spring, there's no queens that are going to bother the colony because they're just too busy making their own little nests again. Excuse me. So I'm losing my voice. So in the spring, what will happen is the founding queens that will overwinter will emerge, and then it's up to us to trap them the best way we can. So we're looking at different ways of trapping in the spring. And also, yesterday, for example, at the Bee Home, for example, there's an exhibition called Bee Home, which was in Quimper yesterday, which I mentioned I was going to, and we had a really good experience there because there was a member of the professional beekeeping group I'm in who'd actually diversified and made his own traps, and he's actually, I think they're available commercially now, but he's made traps that are like a crate like this size.
Like a lobster pot.
They're like, but they've got like a lobster pot entrance on the front, and the hornets go in, and they're very, very effective traps, and you'll need one in every apiary, which I'm thinking of doing for next year. So there's lots of investment we've got to make, lots of changes, but just seeing this, I mean, there must be 300 hornets plus here. Just seeing this, there's probably that many, and they're almost all Asian hornets. So I have to say, Vita Pharma, they are very good traps. People are saying, well, you could do with bigger traps. Yes and no. The problem is, if you had a bigger trap, you need, the best thing I could say for a modification would be a slightly wider base and maybe a slightly wider pot. But the thing is, you've got to change the traps regularly because the attractant does go off. It starts to ferment, and that's the only thing that seems to attract them. But this time of year, we've gone from the hornets being attracted to the juice in front of the hives intensely, and the hornets have gone onto a more protein based diets. They don't interest in sugars, they want to raise those queens. But now the queens are emerging, and you're getting a lot in the traps, and it's a sign to us that these queens are emerging looking for a feed, and we're just mopping them up. And we've got exactly the same thing we had last year and the year before. It's warm, we're nearly at the mid to end of October, and all these queens are starting to emerge, so it's up to us to mop up as many of these as we can. So me and Ollie are doing a tour of the apiaries, and we're going to go and do another 4 or 5 more before we're going to go back and have a couple of beers and just think, oh my God, it's a nightmare. But that's what it's all about. We're having a bit of a break, and just like, Ollie's got so much more work to do at home, and he's like, I shouldn't have come over. I'm really pushed for work. And I'm like, you shouldn't be here. I've got loads of work to do. But you know, you just got to say, what the hell sometimes.
Two of us said like months ago when we talked about this, we said, oh, in October we'll have loads of time. All the bees will be put to bed, but no, we're still only to extract.
I've got about 80 supers to do. I made a decision to stop because I'm wouldn't have got it finished. As I said, I'm going to basically put 3 heaters in the extraction room when I get back next week, and then just heat it all up for a couple of days and see how we go and get it knocked out then. But sometimes you just have to have a break. There's only so much you can do. It is what it is. But anyway, from a very hornet-infested Brittany, we'll bid you farewell, and we've got to get to the next apiary, get these traps back out. There's one on the other side we're going to do now, and yeah, onwards and upwards. But anyway, just a little update. We'll hopefully do a couple of videos next week when we're out and about in the UK, and that'll be a bit of fun. But take care. Bye for now. Shit. Dead.
Richard taking his frustration out here.